Hi, I'm Susan Garrett, and this is Bobby. Knowing that a puppy's mind is fully capable of learning at such an early age, there's no need to consider putting off starting that puppy's education as soon as he comes into your home. The thing is, we need to consider how that education happens. Think about a typical pet puppy. Let's say a fluffy golden retriever, or maybe a soft-eyed beagle puppy. This beloved family member gets walked every day, has an overflowing bowl of dog food to nibble on when he chooses, and a basket full of wonderful, entertaining puppy toys. However, he grows up without his owners ever participating in any formal dog training classes with him. Does the lack of structured training mean the puppy will grow up learning nothing? Of course not. Animals don't live in a vacuum. They learn from experiences and from their environment. The golden retriever puppy may accidentally bump into the garbage can one day, knocking over its contents onto the kitchen floor. The coincidence of the night before's leftover pot roast would give this puppy a delicious, unplanned snack, and also give him reason to try to knock over the trash bin in the future. The beagle puppy may be out sniffing in the backyard and coincidentally find a hole in the fence that allows him to take a nice, long, unplanned romp through the neighborhood. This learning by coincidence occurs without the pet owner planning for it, of course. It happens every day in homes all over the world. In science terms, this is called operant conditioning, the animal learning from pleasant or unpleasant occurrences in his environment. When it's not formally directed, imagine where this type of learning will end up. If luck's on your side, the coincidences are in your favor, and of course you manage your puppy's behavior well, not allowing them off leash near squirrels, or making sure you clear all the food off of your kitchen counters every day, you may end up with a lovely family pet. However, if luck and coincidences work against you, this puppy could also grow up learning any number of unwanted behaviors. This is when people shrug and say, oh, we're waiting for him to mature, when they speak about their naughty 5-year-old dog who still doesn't come when he's called, or they sigh and they may talk about how much better behaved their last dog was. Or worse yet, this is why we have so many unwanted dogs filling up rescues every year. Now let's consider the complete opposite of this. Think about a puppy being raised by a world champion dog trainer. Not necessarily me. Think of any sport, any world champion raising and training their own puppy. One they've selected with high expectations for the future. This puppy is likely being trained every day, focusing on specific skills starting at 7 or 8 weeks of age as soon as they come home and carrying on all the way through the dog's entire career. You know, too often people think of this kind of training as something bad or strict. It's intense and it's not very pleasant for the puppy. That's why you hear people say, let's just let the puppy be a puppy, or let's wait until they're older before we really start training. However, knowing that a puppy's brain will start learning as early as a month or 2 of age, waiting just allows coincidences to be your puppy's sole teacher in life. Because regardless if you want to start teaching or not, that puppy is definitely learning. So why not take the best of both of those worlds? Allow the dog to be trained through a series of coincidences and end up with an amazing, well-trained family pet. That's exactly how my puppies and my students' puppies are being trained every day. I allow my puppies to choose exactly how they want to live their lives. Learning does happen through a series of coincidences. The only difference is that the coincidences in my puppies' lives are strategically planned coincidences, planned by me. Learning for my puppies happens as if in a video game. They can stay on the first level of difficulty, but will always choose to move up to the next level where there's more excitement, more stimulation, and yes, more challenge. But there's also more and more awesome rewards to discover. My puppy controls when we move ahead to the next level of difficulty in our training by the success he's having at his current level. The success isn't defined by a level of precision or accomplishment, but rather by the fun being had by both the puppy and me. Let's take a look at what should be one of our dog's basic behaviors, the retrieve. If coincidences are in your favor, your puppy may learn to chase the toy, pick it up, run back to you as fast as he ran out to the toy. Unfortunately, that's not always what puppies learn. Take a look at these owners trying to play fetch with their dogs. From the outside looking in, this may appear to be just funny. However, if you're one of the owners of one of those dogs that are not bringing the toy back, it can be extremely frustrating. If you leave your puppy's learning totally up to unplanned coincidences, you're really rolling the dice with their future. Whether that's with less important skills like them not bringing you a toy when you ask, or even potentially life-ending ones like them not coming when they're called. Life is much easier and your relationship with your puppy far less frustrating when what your puppy is learning is strategically planned in your training rather than left up to chance. In this next clip, I'm going to show you how I manipulate the reinforcement in a young Border Collie puppy's world, so that what appears like a coincidence to him is actually a very fun, strategic, interactive game that I've planned. This results in the foundation of a very reliable retrieve for this puppy in the future. Let's take a look at what I would call the perfect retrieve. The puppy holds a sit until he's told to get the toy, runs out fast, turns, picks up the toy, and runs back as fast as he went out. That is a great retrieve. It all starts with crate games, where the puppy waits for a release and is instantly rewarded with a fun game of tug. Notice when tugging, rather than moving at the puppy, I'm often backing away, engaging his prey instinct to chase me. Next, I test the value of my game by releasing my end of the toy and observe the puppy's choice. I don't coax him, I don't call him, but I do reward with my voice and play when he makes the correct choice to chase. This teaches the puppy to deliver the toy directly to my hand for a fun game. Changing directions when the puppy's chasing encourages him to run back to me as fast as he can so the game can continue. I'm quiet when he makes his choices and praise and play when he decides to come back to me. See how I touch the puppy with my hands on his face? This encourages him to hang on to that toy really tightly. Test number 2 is for me to drop the toy immediately in front of the puppy and turn to run away. Will he quickly grab his toy before he chases me? If he forgets about the toy like he does here, it's not a terrible choice. However, I don't want him to be rewarded, so I pick him up as I pick up the toy, and I remind him how much fun this toy is by playing a little bit by myself before we try it again. This time, the puppy does what I want, so that he can be part of the fun game between him and I. Notice all the celebration in the form of this interactive play? I want to make sure the puppy realizes what a wonderful choice he just made before we move on and try another short retrieve. Now this time, I'm going to try and just reward him for a quick little retrieve, chase me back, interactive play, and we're going to grow the game. I'm going to throw the toy just a little bit further. This is like a grown-up dog retrieve, and what a brilliant retrieve I get. There's no calling, there's no helping the puppy. It's about him making good choices and me celebrating the choices I like. Now, after all of these tests, it's time for the puppy and I just to have some flat-out fun before we go back to putting in more layers. For this next session, I want to work on him sitting before the game starts. So I'm going to get down on the floor. You might do this in a small room or even with your puppy on leash. Once again, the game starts with lots of fun between the puppy and I. I want him to learn how much joy we have together. I'm going to add a quick little rule. I want him to sit before the joy begins. So I will once again wait to see what his choice is. When he eventually sits, which of course he learned in crate games, I'm going to praise him, not give him the toy. And we're going to restart the game with him chasing the toy. I want him to learn that sits need to happen fast. And when they do, I'm going to reward him immediately with another great game of tug. I got to take away the stress of that last moment before I attempt to do any more training. So sit, quick game of tug, sit, quick game of tug, and now we'll start another layer of training. Chase the toy, and if you sit quickly, we play. If you sit slowly, I'm just going to pat you. So now chase the toy, and I'm going to try and just bop the toy on the ground, and every time he moves, I'm just going to keep playing the game. And when he makes the good choice of not moving, big celebration. When the puppy can once again hold a sit, just as he would have during crate games, which he showed you at the beginning of this clip, his reward is his release word that tells him our tug game is now on. And now, look at this, a young, barely 4-month-old puppy working on all 5 key layers to a brilliant retrieve, done within a 4-minute fun-filled learning session. This is exactly how I train any behavior with my puppies. Behaviors that create both a well-behaved family pet and a brilliant competition dog. Over the course of my lifetime, every dog I've ever owned has gone on to win at least one national championship in the sport of dog agility. Now, that wouldn't have happened if I had left parts of their training up to unplanned coincidences. It all starts right from the time they come into my home as an 8-week-old puppy. In total, I've had 10 puppies that I've had the opportunity to raise and train. With each one, I got progressively better at planning my training, so that what appeared to be a coincidence to the puppy was actually a strategic, interactive game of fun that had a purposeful outcome of learning, just like you saw in the retrieve video. And here's the really cool thing. I realized that as I was training those 10 puppies, they actually taught me more and more about how successful these interactive games can be. I have another video I want you to see in a couple of days. This one is going to outline what I feel is the most important lesson I learned from each one of those 10 puppies. My top 10 lessons that I learned while raising puppies over the past 27 years. If you want to be notified about that next video and receive a downloadable PDF outlining how you can teach your puppy a brilliant retrieve, just like the one you saw in this video, leave your name and email address on the box found on this page. You know, we all have unwanted behaviors that our dogs have learned that we didn't plan. Sometimes they can be funny. One of my own dogs loves to chase the vacuum cleaner. You know, that wasn't planned. I'd love to hear what your dog has learned through unintentional coincidences. Share your story in the comments below, and I'll see you next time.